So let's start with the word relevant. The word relevant. It's often used in phrases like, how does the church stay relevant in today's modern culture? Right? The story of Bethlehem, the story of the virgin birth, the story of Christmas, or we think about the story of Easter and the suffering of Christ and the death and resurrection of Christ. Those are 2,000-year-old stories, and a lot has changed in 2,000 years. So how do we as a church stay relevant in this modern culture? And the answer is found in understanding that the gospel is not just a story. The gospel presents reality. John 1, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. That's not just a story. That is reality. He came to that which was his own, but his own did not receive him. That is not a story. That is reality. But to those who do receive them, he gives the right to become the sons and the daughters of God. That is not a story. That is reality. The reality is that there is a God, and he's big beyond our ability to comprehend. He's holy, he's righteous, and he's good. That is reality. The reality is that he created the universe in all of its vast display. Each star in the sky, he made. The reason the earth is rotating at 1,000 miles an hour on its axis is not an accident. He made it that way. It's not even a happy accident like Bob Ross might say. It's purposeful. It is reality. And in that creation, he placed us. He made us. And we are the only creation in all the universe that can say we are created in the image of God. That is not a story, not a theology. It is reality. The reality is also that due to our own sinful hearts and our conceit and our deceitfulness, we as the human race have rebelled against God. He came into the world and his own did not receive him. And it's not a good rebellion, it's a senseless, self-destructive, ignorant rebellion. That is reality. But the reality is also that despite our sinfulness and our deceitfulness and our rebellion, God in his love has made a way for us where there was no way. He has made a way to reconcile us to himself through the work of his Son. It's not a story. It's reality. But the reality is also that despite the Holy Spirit working to call us to himself, the wickedness of our hearts pushes back and continues to fight. That's reality. See, it is crucial to understand that it is God who creates and defines reality, not mankind, not the world. God creates and defines reality. And the gospel and the Bible in general gives us insight and awareness into this true present reality, granting us the opportunity to see the truth and to believe and to take hold of Jesus. So how does the church stay relevant? We stay relevant by continuing the vital work of declaring the reality of life to a world lost in delusion, to a world disconnected from reality. Now, what do I mean when I say that the world is disconnected from reality, that they're lost in delusion? Well, the word delusion essentially means to believe what is false. It's literally to have a false sense of reality, to have an expectation or a perspective based on something that is not real. Psalm 14:1 says, the fool says in his heart, there is no God. See, that fool is living in delusion, in a false reality. Isaiah 47 verse 10 says, your wisdom and knowledge have deluded you. He's essentially speaking to this fool. Have deluded you when you say to yourself, I am, and there is none besides me. I am the sovereign. I am the center. I make the rules. See, that's what I mean when I say the world is lost in delusion. That's the situation, the condition we see right now in the world. God says in Obadiah 1:3, the pride of your heart has deceived you. So when I say the world is lost in delusion, I mean they are detached from reality to the point, and we see this all around us, where up becomes down, and down becomes up, and forward becomes backwards, and backwards becomes forward. Everything is inverted and twisted around to the point where instead of realizing that we are created in God's image, what do? We seek to create a God in our own image. Instead of worshiping the Creator, what do? We worship the creation. Delusional. We live in a world today that calls evil good and good evil. Now, you've often heard me say that to struggle with the temptation of sin, and dare I say it, to sometimes even fall to that temptation, that's one thing, and that's bad. But the gospel is the message that no matter how far we've fallen, if we'll come to Christ in repentance, there is no sin he will not forgive. Faithfully and mercifully, his grace washes over us. But it's one thing to temporarily fall to the temptation of sin. And it's a completely different thing to recast or relabel or recategorize sin as something good. And that's what we see happening in the world. That's not just a different perspective, folks. That is a rebellious delusion. That is claiming an alternate reality. And we as a church stay relevant only as long as we faithfully and with urgency mixed with patience declare the reality of life, the reality of God, of sin, of rebellion and redemption, of death and resurrection, of deep wickedness and abounding love, of heaven and hell. We stay relevant only as long as we compassionately declare the reality of life to a world that is lost in its deception.